Just let me. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Real Talk on the ASAP Network. This is Kenny Moore, and I'm here with my guys. Fathead Freddy's like, nah, what's up?
What's going on, Kenny? You look much better tonight. You're not with that Cowboy shirt, so you're not irritating me as much. So good job.
Man, don't listen to that fool. He don't even know what team he roots for.
Yeah, he got to get one of those half jerseys. You know, you have the half of the team on one side and half on the other side. You know, the parents have to do that when they have two players on, two different teams.
Exactly. He's going to have the jersey that has Saquon on the front, and then, all three of the Packers running backs on the back.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we also got my man Young Gunner, a.k.a. my man Christopher Brown. Chris, what's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing terrible. My Sixers right now are getting trashed. Embiid obviously should not have come back. He still looks like he's struggling with the flu. But I don't have no excuses. They need to step it up. They have no energy. It's playoff time. The regular season ends in a week. It's playoff time, and it's pissing me off. But I'm ready to talk sports with you. Freddie, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to talk sports with Freddie. But with you, Kenny, I'm always ready to, talk about these sports.
Chris, you look forward to Real Talk just to see me. Don't lie to America.
Don't lie to the people.
All right, so listen, let's get rolling. Let's get right into it. So, the NFL schedule came out on yesterday, and they did the whole pomp circumstance and did the whole reveal and the whole bit. It kind of teased us by, all day long, leaking the game here and there. So they really milked all the drama out of it. But let's talk about it from, a fan perspective, from our team perspective, and talk about how you feel about your schedule. What's your thoughts? What's your games you're maybe concerned about? All that good stuff. Well, let me ask you this first, Freddie. Which team are you going to talk about?
That's a real question.
What you mean with
which team do you want to talk about?
I'm talking about my New York Giants, of course.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're surprised about that.
Bro. Yeah, we wasn't sure because when you say we, you refer to the Packers and the Giants, so we get confused.
But Kenny, I got a question. Since you brought that up, I'm glad you brought that up. You wearing a New York Knicks shirt, but you represent the Nets as well. So what's up with that?
When did he ever say he roots for the Nets?
I never said we when it comes to the Nets. I only talk about Kyrie when I talk about the Nets.
Everybody else picks that up but Freddie.
Yeah, don't try to put me in your category. You were all by yourself, my friend.
Man, let's get to it, bro.
Go ahead, man. So talk about your Giants schedule. How you feel about it? What was your reaction when you saw the schedule coming out?
Well, as you can see, it's pretty much all NFC East teams are playing pretty much the same teams, just about. I think it's actually a pretty decent schedule this year. I think we have a lot of winnable games. I have us going second in the division. I actually have us going 10-7 this year. It could this year, we all know how the NFC East can go. They can go either or. I actually have the Cowboys going a little bit higher. I have them going 11-6, winning the division. I hate to say that because I'm a Giants fan, but
you're actually talking sensical. It's shocking.
But you just got to be realistic, Chris. I have your Eagles. I don't know where you have them going, but I have them going actually 7-10. It could get better. I didn't do Washington's, but I have the Cowboys winning the division. But I have the Giants coming in second.
I'm sorry. Jimmy Butler's cooking us right now. That's another story. We just say that for the NBA. But
what's up with it, Joshua?
What's up, Josh?
My man. So yeah, go ahead, Chris. How you feel about your Eagles schedule? What you thinking?
I mean, honestly, I'm not this year. I'm not fighting and hoping that we're going to like last year's team. I really feel like I know injuries are part of the game, but I don't know a team that was affected by injuries more than last year's team. And I had real hopes in last year's squad, and I thought, listen, you confusing them right now, Josh.
Yeah, put that up. Thank you, Josh. We already asked him.
No.
Wait, what did that say? How are our
Thank you.
Packers looking?
Thank
Freddie?
you. Thank you.
So we already know what it is. But honestly,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think this team is a playoff team. If I'm going to be real, but like we're looking for the future. You can tell that we're trying to rebuild. And with our schedule, I mean, we have some winnable games, but to me, I'm looking at the roster right now. We're like a 500 team, a team that can win any game and lose any game. So you got teams like the Chargers, the Broncos, the Raiders, teams like that, like the Panthers that can be a good opponent that you can beat, and they can also show up, and that's like that with us. But then we got teams like the Saints. We have teams like the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Falcons. Those are going to be tough, tough matchups. So I think we can go about 7-10, 8-9 maybe. With the division is hit or miss. We can't never say somebody's going to sweep the division, especially in the NFC East. So I feel like we're going to split a lot of the games, but the division is tough, and we have a lot of tough opponents. So I don't expect us to do anything spectacular. I think we're going to be that 500 team that if they show up, they can compete. But if they don't, you're going to be able to roll over, and that just is what it is. Our roster is not really that good this year.
So I was pretty much spot on your record. I said 7-10.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we got like I said, we got teams like the Falcons.
And you got a young quarterback too.
We got a young quarter. We have a young quarterback. We have a new coaching system, mind you. I love this coaching system with the head coach did over there with the Colts, what the OC just did with the Chargers with a rookie quarterback and Justin Herbert. Phenomenal coaches. However, it's some questionable spots and some questionable talent. Like if we get rolling, we can beat the teams like the Panthers. We can beat teams like the Falcons, the Raiders, the Chargers, teams that can win a game and lose a game. However, I don't see us competing with the 49ers when they're healthy, the Chiefs and the Buccaneers when they're healthy. The Saints is a hit or miss, but more than likely that's going to be a loss. So I think, it just depends on, the chemistry and, the momentum this team picks up and how successful that they can be.
So let me ask you this, Chris. Who do you think is going to be your number one receiver going into the season?
See, I think it's going to be Smith. I think it's going to be Devontae Smith. But like what I've noticed by watching, our new head coach and the system he had over there with the Colts and his skill set that our receivers have, all of our receivers can play the X, they can play the Y, they can play in a slot. So no receiver is going to be boxed in, and I feel like that's going to help us out, especially with a rookie quarterback, because you got a guy like Jalen Reagor that can play in the outside, they can play in the slot. Greg Ward is sure he can play in the outside and the slot. A lot of receivers, their skill set isn't boxed in one position, maybe other than Travis Fulgham, which is fine because you're going to want that primary X or Y wide receiver. But I think Devontae Smith, with his skill set, his playmaking, ability with the ball in his hands, him being the number 10 pick, I think they're going to try to force feed him deservedly so because his skill and talent-wise looks like he's going to be the number one guy. So I think it's going to be receiver by committee, but I think he's honestly going to be number one. I want to be surprised, though, if Dallas Goedert is our number 2 leading receiver.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I agree with you. I think Goddard is going to be the key because, especially with a young quarterback, the tight end is
the tight end or the slot are all young quarterbacks, especially, but with all quarterbacks, if they have a tight end or a slot, unless they got a stud like Josh Allen, he had Cole Beasley, but Diggs is a stud, Devontae Adams is a stud, but more than likely they're going to have that tight end or that slot that they can depend on. And right now, I think it's a wide receiver by committee, but I definitely think Dallas Goedert is going to be key for us this year.
Yeah, I wonder if I think that the question that the coaching staff is going to have to figure out or answer is: are they going to move your number one pick around, or be afraid of not giving him, force feeding or feeding him too much too soon, and kind of maybe easing them in and simplifying the offense a little bit and maybe setting them up outside the start and then start, eventually starting to move them around as the season goes on. I think that's the question that they're going to have to answer, amongst themselves. But
I feel like we're going to use him like T.Y. Hilton. I think that's how he's going to be used. And I feel like if he's shown in camp that he's the number one guy, I don't care about trying to overfeed, force feeding. If he's our best playmaker, you got to get the ball in your best weapon's hands.
Absolutely.
So if he shows up and shows out and deservingly so, deserves that number one spot, deserves being force fed, then give it to him. But I'm with you. It's like I don't want them to try to do too much because I feel like Rager has talent. I feel like Ward has talent. These are dependable guys. So it's not like we have a whole bunch of nobodies because these guys showed up. They're just not the cream of the crop. They're top 15, top 20 receivers. So that's where he's going to have to separate himself.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Greg Ward is really primed to have a breakout season because he's shifty. He makes plays in the open field, and I think if they find a way to utilize him as a weapon, that'll be a big help to your offense for sure.
He definitely got better this year, though. I give him that. He has questionable hands, but he got better this year.
Yeah, and for me, I think I kind of we got a tough schedule. There's no two ways, no ways around it. New England, Kansas City, New Orleans, Arizona. Those four right there, when I looked at the schedule, those are the 4 games right off the bat, And then, of course, we're always going to battle in the division. You're going to lose some games in the division. It just is what it is. It's just always a
everybody's
toss-up.
so even in our division.
Yeah, exactly. It's just parity, in the division. So I think it's going to be a really, it's not going to be easy. Like if we win this division, we're going to earn it because we got some tough games.
Facts.
We got tough games. So now that
I got a question for everybody, real quick.
Go ahead.
Other than and Freddie, I go with you first. Other than the division games, because we all look for the division games. Which game are you looking forward to for your giant Packers to play this year?
He's funny. Me personally, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because I believe last year we played and we hung in there and made it competitive. I want to see with the addition that we did in the draft by getting a Galladay, a second year in Daniel Jones and the Joe Judge system with a Saquon Barkley come back. I want to see how if how competitive we can make it. Maybe we can win a sneak game in there, or that will tell me how far this team really is. Without actually being good, or if they're just a mediocre team.
What about you, Kenny?
Yeah, for me it's Kansas City, but I want to piggyback real quick off of Freddie with Tampa Bay because we got them to kick off the season. And to all the fans, anybody in the Tampa area that got to connect for tickets, I'm trying to be in the building for that game. So
beautiful stadium, by the way. I was there for the Super Bowl.
So inbox me if you got to connect. And
let me address this, King. If we were talking about the Giants a few years ago, I would agree with you. But since we got Joe Judge, it is a different system. It's a different atmosphere.
Yeah,
He's
off to a great start, 6-10.
On paper right now, you're right on that. You're right on that, Kenny. I say this: you can't tell me that there's a favorite in this division. You cannot tell me that there's a favorite in this division
because everybody has question marks.
Everybody has question marks.
Every team has question marks. So
everybody's going to throw out Dallas, but Dallas has been a favorite for years and hasn't won it in years.
And our defense was trash last year.
Defense was trash. The Eagles are a big question mark. The Giants, quarterback question mark. A whole bunch of O-line question mark. Washington, the same thing. Quarterback, receiver question mark. Every team has its own
question mark. The quarterback, Daniel Jones.
Every team has its own question mark. So that's what I'm saying. It's gonna we all know how the division games are gonna be. Everybody's gonna bat. Everybody's gonna battle and battle. But like you said, a team like the Chiefs game, I'm gonna be looking at that because Andy Reid, Big Red. Always loved there. Then I'm going to look at teams, for us, I want to see us versus the teams that I like sneaky, like the Broncos and the Chargers. I think those are going to be good football games.
Yeah.
The Raiders, good football games.
Absolutely. I was hoping.
What's up, man?
What's happening, Ray? Welcome in. I was actually hoping that we were going to get the AFC South this year.
I want that too.
Yeah, because I wanted your Jaguars So I could actually be in the building for a game. So now I'm gonna have to drive 3 hours to Tampa to try to catch a game this year.
Hey, Kenny, I gotta ask Ray a question real quick. I know this is not none of the topics, but hey, Ray, you got Tim Tebow down there as a tight end. Me personally, a dude that have not played football in 6 years, I don't see how he can just walk in with a brand new opportunity. To change position from a quarterback to a tight end. As a Jaguars fan, what is your thoughts on the Tim Tebow situation?
Well, to me, the Tim Tebow situation was that he knew Urban Meyer. That's why he got a shot. He's not officially on the roster yet.
Nope.
He still has a battle for the job on the roster itself. He gave him a 1-year deal to try to prove himself, but he's coming in at age 33 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think this is just a deploy to get more people in the stadium. That's just me.
And that's just me.
Not a fact.
That's the name grab.
Ray, that's exactly what we said on Monday. I said it was it's totally a marketing ploy, and he's doing a favor to his guy. And I say all the time, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So. And to credit to I'm not mad at Tebow because if I had the opportunity, I would do it too. So
exactly.
It's not. This is not a shot against Tim Tebow.
Mm-hmm. And I look at it this way too. He's not a tight end. We don't know how he's going to be a tight end. We don't know he's a good athlete. We know that for a fact. But I think he's there more to be a mentor to Trevor Lawrence as outside of the football field. He's got a good head on his shoulder. He's a Christian guy. So, trying to bring that Christian value into the locker room and stuff like that too. But he's also been a good guy. He's been a real respected guy in Jacksonville, and all the Jaguar legends like Jimmy Smith came out and praised for him.
I saw that.
Getting his back and stuff. So he's got his peers. He's got his respect for his peers here in Jacksonville. So I mean, I think it's a tremendous signing, but. To me, I don't know how good he's going to be a tight end. I don't know if he's going to make that actual 53-man roster. Jimmy Smith wants to make the 53-man roster so he can just be a mentor with Trevor Lawrence. But also the Jaguars have been lacking a tight end. So if he can produce at a tight end, then that could give Jaguars some luxury right there.
If he switched to a tight end early in his career, I feel like he would have had a long.
He would have still been in the league.
He would have still been in the league.
But then you got to look at it too, though. He's been out of the league for a long time.
I know.
He's been on playing baseball, so his body's been not taking longer hits.
That's true. And I did read something today that they said that he was looking like an 18-year-old, like he's in phenomenal shape. So,
you could be in shape, but that don't mean you can play football. We got something to do catch, though.
That's true.
So, Ray, we were talking about reactions to. The schedule's coming out on yesterday, and how do you feel about your team's schedule? So take a few minutes and talk about how you feel about the Jag schedule.
Well, I mean, the Jaguars schedule is ranked 18th in the league as one of the easiest or to the hardest. I mean, you got to look at it this way. They've had a bad year. Couple years since 2017 is the last time they had a good year, going all the way up to the AFC Championship game. So I mean, you're not going to look at them getting a tough schedule because usually the bottom team usually gets a fairly easy schedule coming around. So, I mean, I like their schedule, but, the teams like Tennessee Titans, their divisional rivals and stuff like that, they haven't beaten, certain teams in a while like the Tennessee Titans. So, to me, I think that our conference schedule is still a little bit harder for the Jaguars than our out-of-conference schedule. And I got the September 19th is when Nate's team come here in Jacksonville, so I would be at that game against the Denver Broncos.
There you go. I think in this, especially with Tennessee, I think our guy Derrick Henry takes it personal every time he comes home to Jacksonville, and he really puts on a show because they had the chance to draft him and they passed on him. So
it's not smart, by the way.
Yeah. Although Robinson is he was a nice revelation or a nice find.
He was, but Blake Bortles was a terrible find. But we're not going to talk about Blake. We're not going to talk about Blake.
All right, so listen, let's move to the next topic. Let's talk over-unders. With the schedule coming out, the thing that comes out right after that is the over-unders. And, I looked it up. And so we'll go one by one and go by everybody's team. And you tell me, what do you think, over or under? So we'll start with Chris.
Mhm.
The over under for the Eagles is 6.5. So what do you got? Over or under?
Over. Over. Definitely over. It's a lot of games that teams can be up one day, like like I said, those Raider games, the Broncos games, the Charger games, the Lions games that are winnable if the team wants to wake up and play. So I feel like those are winnable games. Then I think we're definitely going to win some division games. And then you got teams like the Falcons as well. So I'm definitely going over on that. I don't even want to explain it too much.
Well, I mean, you're being optimistic. Might not be being realistic, but you're being optimistic.
I mean, getting 7 wins, I don't think it's hard when we play the Cowboys and Giants twice, but
Hey, now.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Nice comeback. All right, Ray. They got the Jaguars. They got your Jaguars at 6.5. So what are you going, over or under?
I'm gonna go over, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I think they have talent on the thing. I think our coaching staff was the issue last year. Our defense has got good defensive talent, but it's the defensive scheme that Todd Wash ran for the last freaking 6 or 7 years when Gus Bradley was here, and they try to improve the hybrid of a Seattle defense. I don't think that. I think they're bringing the Baltimore hybrid defense in there, and Coley's already came out and said that his defense is going to look something like a 4-3 to a 3-4 to a hybrid. So you don't know exactly where he's going to be running, where the blitzes are coming from, and they got different scenarios that they're trying to run, and then putting Chase on back up out of the 3-point stance back into a linebacker stance towards like a Lawrence Taylor type deal at the end of the line. So he's going to be able to push it off. Hey, I'm not comparing it to Lawrence Taylor, but I'm talking about the
stand-up pass rusher.
The stand-up pass.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
so I mean, he's not going to be a Lawrence Taylor type deal because I mean, Lawrence Taylor is just a freak of nature.
Absolutely.
But I mean, for him standing up, being a stand-up guy, he's not a 3-4 guy. He's not a 3-stand guy and nothing on the defense there. And he got blown off a couple of times, but when they moved him to a standing linebacker, he was getting in there. So I mean, I expect that he will have a better season. I think Allen's going to have a better season. And then they beefed up with some of the Chicago former defensive linemen. So they beat up the defense up a little bit more and got a little bit more of a corner that can play on the other side of C.J. Henderson. But I'm worried about C.J. Henderson being healthy all season long because he hasn't shown he can be healthy right now. So, I mean, if you look at it defensive-wise, I think they progress on defense. I think they got what they need on the offense, and they got a little bit of faster on the running back side. I mean, Robinson's a good, 1, 2, 3. He could play all 3 downs, but putting ETN in there as a speed guy, you can throw a screen to ETN and he can bust it open. So, I mean, I'm optimistic. I think they can at least win 8 games.
And then you got the big boy that can hammer it, between the tackles too.
That is correct. So, I think they can win 8 games.
Yeah, I think you're being really optimistic, but I get it. I get it. So, all right, Freddie. The Packers, the Giants. The Giants are over under is 7.5.
That's low.
Going, over or under?
I'm gonna say over. I have us going to winning 10 games. Just with the addition of the wide receivers that we got, Galladay through free agency, the wide receiver we drafted, the defense we've got the cornerbacks, the linebacker in the draft. Only question. Yeah, that's the only question
Can Danny Jones hold on to the football and stop throwing it to the other team?
It's not throwing it; it's fumbling. He don't throw many interceptions. The fumbling.
He throws as many touchdowns as he do interceptions.
Chris, this is my turn, okay? The only question marks the Giants have is that O-line. It is a young O-line, but I think each year they play together, they are going to get better. So they didn't do too much with it. So I'm assuming that they think that it's improving. So I'm hoping to see that. And then if Daniel Jones is going to have a breakout year. But I think we can win more than 7 games, especially with Saquon Barkley come back and the defense and Joe Judge system. Yeah, I think we'll win more than 7.5 games.
I'll be honest, that's low.
Yeah,
that's low.
Yeah, I think.
Even though they only won 6 last year, I understand. They only won 6 last year, but I thought it'd be at least 8.
I think that says a lot about people's confidence in Daniel Jones. It's, the jury is still out on him, so I think that's the biggest.
He's not a bad quarterback. We seen him that first year, man. It's not
I've read you a list of 20 guys I would take over Daniel Jones.
Let's not act like he's not He's let's not act like he's just.
Well, you know, he just got crowned a little too soon. The whole Danny Dimes thing just took off way too fast.
Well, they
Now-
had
What made it worse is him tripping over his own 2 feet when he could have had a 90-yard touchdown.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sniper.
That's
that
my
black
question.
cat
I mean, my question is he going to run 99 yards and then trip before he gets to the end zone? I mean, he's got 2 left feet. You know, can he get it right?
Yeah,
But I mean,
right.
I seen
Literally.
Daniel Jones play at Duke University. I mean, I've seen him 4 years. What, he played 3 years or something there. I mean, he was good in college, but that doesn't translate into the NFL.
Nope.
So I mean, he had a good coach in Cliff who,
Oh yeah,
you know, he had
Whisperer, for
Eli
sure.
Manning. So
Absolutely.
I mean, he's got a good quarterback, entity that he can do. And I know he went back to Duke this year after all season to work with him and Eli Manning and all them at Duke University. You know, they got the little secret quarterback thing they do on the all
Society
season.
they got going on.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand that, but to me, Daniel Jones I don't know if he's going to progress in the NFL. And this is going to be the calling right here. If he doesn't progress this year, they're going to have to look somewhere for next year.
Of course, with all these weapons,
He's on hot
that we
seat.
got,
Everybody
But we
knows that.
but we all got to realize, you can't expect young cat, all young cats not coming to the NFL and just blossom right in front of our eyes. Sometimes
You're right, but it has to be improvement. It was no improvement from year 1 to year 2.
He definitely regressed in his second year. To be fair,
and that's true. But guess what? We've seen Ezekiel Elliott decrease. This game dropped when Dak Prescott wasn't on the field as well. So he did not have a Saquon Barkley. So let's see him this year with a Saquon Barkley with these other receivers that we have. Now let's see if he improves.
well, he has no excuse except for the offensive line, not protecting him. But that's a story for another day. Did you put the Cowboys schedule up?
Yeah, I did. Let me pull it
Okay,
up.
I just want to make sure because you're gonna be respectful on here.
Hey, man,
we're not doing that.
I put that trash down here, man.
Yeah, we're not doing that. So for the Cowboys, the over under is 9.5, and I'm going over, but barely over, because I'm thinking 10-7, because there's some tough games. You got New England, you got Kansas City, Cardinals, Tampa Bay. Those all can be losses easily. So that's what 5 games right there, and the Saints. Who knows?
Then you got 2 teams questionable, like the Falcons
and the
Broncos.
I think the Chargers are going to be an improved team. So and the Broncos,
whatever the over is for the Falcons, whatever the over is for the Falcons and Cowboys game, whenever they play each other, I'm betting over. That's 2 teams with all offense and no defense, like they did this following year. I'm betting that over.
Listen, I'm gonna say this though, because I was reading something the other day. I think it was yesterday actually about our new defensive coordinator and how he came in from when he came into Atlanta. They went from like 20s, like 28 or something like that. In his first year, they've gotten to 15. So if he could do that for us, then that's all we need. Because all we need the defense is to be solid. They don't have to be
average.
lights out. They just got to be solid because we're gonna score with the weapons we got on offense.
The Chiefs defense was honestly average. They just made plays when it was time to make plays.
And you need that O-line to step up. That's when Dallas is at its best. It's always at its best.
When they got to be healthy first.
But it
got to be healthy first.
We should be healthier this year. Lyle Collins coming back. Hopefully, knock on wood, fingers crossed, whatever.
And Ezekiel Elliott cannot be. He's
coming back explosive. You see the video out there that he's looking fast.
It's crazy how Zeke down year is still better than majority of the running backs in the NFL.
Exactly. And everybody was talking about that down year, but he still had over 1,000 yards. So
it's crazy.
You know what I mean? So I just think that Tyron Smith being healthy, Lyle Collins being healthy, you know what you're getting from Zach Martin. So it's really just the center and the left guard. As long as those guys are solid and the defense is solid, I see us getting 10 wins easily.
Well, the key I'm going to look for the Cowboys is Parson when he comes in and plays that middle linebacker spot. That's my key right there, because that's going to right there generate some defense for the Cowboys. And I'm going to tell you what, this guy's a fire on those sidelines. If he ain't playing good, he's going to light you up. And he don't care if he's a rookie or not. He's going to be the person that's going to be the captain of that defense. And
Well,
That's what I want to see.
honestly, I think he's going to wind up playing outside because Jalen Smith is a middle linebacker and he's the quarterback of that defense. Because that's a lot to ask a rookie to come in and play middle linebacker and be the
Especially
quarterback.
when your middle linebacker is already legit. Like
Exactly.
Smith
So I think they're going to use. Yeah, I think they're going to use him in the pass rush. He's going to be outside playing on the edge. He'll be that extra guy as well. Yes, King Czar. That's a great call.
from my Eagles. Stolen from my Eagles.
Yeah, I love that pick because we needed to get Jalen Smith off the field. I think he played too many downs in last season, so he's wore down. I think that was the big reason why he wasn't as good as he was in previous years. So getting Jabril Cox is going to be huge to play him in passing downs because really to me, I think Jalen Smith is at his best in first and second down. And then you sub him out in passing downs in the nickel package, and give him an opportunity. At times, you kind of work him in and out because he is a great pass rusher as well. He does very well getting to the quarterback. So you kind of just watch his snap count. And I think when we do that, that's where Parsons is going to really come in because he'll probably be the guy that's going to become the middle linebacker or the Mike in the nickel packages. So I think, I love that pick, and I was really, we talked about that before, so we shall see. Van Der Esch is on the King Czar. Van Der Esch is on, to me, he's on notice because, dude, if you don't stay on the field, they already said they're not extending your contract.
You're not doing the Sean Lee all over again.
Yeah, like if you can't stay on the field, we're not doing that Sean Lee over again. Like this is it. So it's a make or break year for Van Der Esch. So it's gonna. But if Van Der Esch stays healthy,
he's a top 10 linebacker.
That's what I'm saying. You got a linebacking core that could play together for the next 7 years at least.
Like King Czar, how far are the Cowboys going to go? Please put that in the comment. I'm just asking for a reason. I'll follow up when you answer the question.
Well, while he's doing that, let's move on to the next topic. So, with the schedule coming out, with the over-unders coming out, so you got your projections in terms of wins and losses and how teams are going to do. So, of course, every year there's going to be a firing in the NFL. Coaches are hired to get fired. So the question is, who do you think is going to be the first coach fired this season? So I'm going to start with Freddie, and then Chris, and then Ray.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at his comment. I actually have two of them. I have Cliff Kingsbury, and I have Pete Carroll. I believe.
Oh, wow.
Pete Carroll.
Well, you've been talking about Pete Carroll for a while, though.
Yeah, but I think this year is going to be the last year. Russell Wilson stays in Seattle. He's given the organization one last chance, and depending on how far they go, I believe that he's going to actually want to get out of there. And I think that the ownership is going to say, you know what, Pete, we choosing Russell over you, and they're going to try to finally make it right. Reason why I say Cliff is because, it's too much talent for that team not to win, for the Arizona Cardinals not to win. With them getting a J.J. Watt, last year, Chris said so many times that team needed a pass rusher. That team needed a pass rusher.
It wasn't J.J. Watt, though. But
hey, but they got one, Hey, they got A.J. Green to put the wide receiver core. Give Kyler Murray another year of experience with that core. Hey, you have to get it done this year. You have to win that division. You have to make a deep playoff run. And if they don't, he's gone.
I'm with you.
And King, if your Cowboys do that and win the NFC Championship game, I'm inviting you.
At least NFC Championship game, beat playoff run. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I'll be totally satisfied with that. I think that's best case scenario. If everything comes together, the defense is top 15. I think that's best case scenario. But go ahead, Chris.
Mine, to start off, I did have Cliff Kingsbury on mine. It wasn't because of all the talent that they have not to win. Yeah, they're in every single team in that division is up for a Super Bowl. So if they're not dominating your division, if they don't win their division, I'm not going to be mad. But you can't have a performance like last season where they lost so many games that they should have won by 3 points, by a touchdown. If it wasn't for that DeAndre Hopkins Hail Mary, they would have went on a 5-game losing streak. Instead, they went 1-5. I mean, 1-4 in 5 games. Like, it's not the fact that they have so much talent, is that this dude has been unproven as a coach, and it's time for him to step up. It's time that you can't be losing games by 3, by 7 when you're trying to win a championship. Because how they lost the games, it shows me that their head coach needs to be on the hot seat. Because a great head coach, a good head coach, is not losing no games. It has nothing to do with the talent. It's about who's coaching that talent, who's putting them in that position to win. So I think going into this year, like I said, for me, they don't have to dominate and win a division and make a deep playoff run, but they have to win more than double-digit games. They have to be fighting for a wild card spot. I don't need to see D crushing. I need to see everybody on that team and that team overall, play an increase. And then I like this guy right here, comments, Jaron Gruden. We all think he should be on the list, but we know he's probably not going to get fired. My second one was Matt Nagy. Yeah, my second one was Matt Nagy. For him, honestly, the GM as well, because they had this offseason. I thought the only thing that would save them was either trading for Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, or Aaron Rodgers, or drafting a young quarterback. They brought in bum behind Andy Dalton for God knows what, but they did draft Justin Fields, which is the only thing that might save them. However, I think that's
going to buy them some time.
That might save them.
At least the head coach, I think that might buy them some time.
It might buy them some time unless they fold. If they fold, then he's gone. But if they're in that, 9-7, that 9-8, 10-7 range, it might buy them some time. But honestly, I feel like this team's gonna fall apart. So my two guys is Matt Nagy and Cliff Kingsbury.
All right, go ahead, Ray.
Well, to me, I think Mike Zimmer might be on the way out because Minnesota keeps going up and down. They look committed to him, but his record keeps going up and down. Minnesota, with Cousins and all that contract that Cousins had, and he's not producing like he's supposed to produce. And, Minnesota's sticking with him and stuff like that. I think it's just he's just counting his days. If he doesn't, I think by mid-season, if he doesn't have his act together, he might be gone by mid-season. That's just my theory on the Minnesota.
That's a good one right there.
Yeah, that's the one I had.
They're 50-50.
Yeah, that's the one I had along with Cliff Kingsbury. Ray, you nailed it. I think that it's one of those things where it's either now or never. Mm-hmm. And they really haven't done anything, and they haven't made a significant move in terms of doing anything playoff wise since he's been there. And I think the mistake was hitching your wagon to Kirk Cousins. Like, he's the definition of a mediocre quarterback, in my opinion. You're just not going to contend. You're not going to be a consistent contender with him as your quarterback. And I think that's going to be his problem.
He's not like the worst quarterback in the league. Like, honestly, I'd take him over. No offense, Freddie, but I'd take him over Daniel Jones. I'd take him over some of these quarterbacks in the game. But when it's that big game, he's first. But he has arm talent. He has the experience. He has that. But for some reason, that big game, he just doesn't show up. But he'll do enough to get that re-up on the contract, though.
He's a poor man's Tony Romo to me. Like, he doesn't get the gaudy stats that Romo used to get, but he does have those same moments where in a big spot he just doesn't come.
I was going to say Jay Cutler a little bit, but with less arm talent. Jay Cutler had a little bit more arm talent.
Special arm talent. Those two was, man, and Cliff Kingsbury. You guys already talked about it. I just think with all of the hoopla, with all of the expectations, and these guys pretty much gotten a free pass since he's been there. This year, though, that free pass is gone. You got too much to work with, and you've got to take a step forward. Like, that division is there for the taking. So if they get out to a slow start, then I think he's in trouble.
And then my next guy is John Gruden.
Yeah,
John Gruden might be out too.
He needs to be out. It's too much money over that long period of time.
He's in his third season. He is 19-29. And
he signed that 10-year contract.
That's my problem. Like, I'm with you. Like, I totally agree with you. Like, we've been talking about this on the show for weeks, months. So it seems like that you have no clue what the direction of that team is. It's just like they're just throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. Or they're trying to prove that they're smarter than everybody else in the NFL, because clearly, when you trade pretty much probably the second best defensive player in the league, that's your first move. And for 50 cents on the dollar, like they were pretty much doomed from the start to me. So I just think, but that money, and they're in Las Vegas. They already, in that new stadium, and they probably, I'm sure they've lost money due to COVID, not being able to have the fans in the inaugural season.
But as
So
soon as
it's
it
going to be
open
tough
up,
for
though,
them to eat all of that salary.
Well, one of them's got to go, either the GM or him.
Well,
it needs to be both.
GM.
Yeah. I mean, you got two analysts. You got one from the NFL Network who's the GM, and you got Gruden that came back from being close to an analyst. Yeah,
that's the problem.
I mean,
totally.
You're right. They're out of touch. That's like them hiring Steve Mariucci. Great, hell of a guy, but he's not in touch with the new football. Like he's one of the smartest guys I've ever seen break down the game of football. But with the way the NFL is run now, you have to have some new blood in the management, some new blood in the coaching staff, because things are always going to continue to evolve. And the old way now, especially, is not going to beat you. Like it's still the same things that run into it. You got to run. You have a great defense, but the schemes of it, like Gruden, I look at the Raiders team, and with the questionable talent that they have, they still should have won 10, 11 games last year.
Yep,
Yeah,
easily.
they lost a lot of close games.
A lot of close games.
So yeah, those are so we got some coaches that we think are going to be fired, and we've covered a few topics here in the NFL. So let's move over to the NBA side.
Mm-hmm.
So the regular season is wrapping up, and we're getting ready for this play-in tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some teams. We got some teams in there. Somebody whose team that actually is going to be in the playoff. Unlike, me and you, Chris, we're actually in the real playoffs.
I mean, we're in a real
You know what I'm saying? So we don't have to worry about that. But
that's not no extra confidence, though. Y'all should know I'm the most critical person on the Sixers on this show. I criticize my team more than anybody. I'm glad that we're not in this play-in tournament, because it's a scary thing.
Well, yeah, I can look at it for myself. I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan. All right, I'm a small market team. I'm proud of them. Even though in the playoff,
that is an accomplishment.
We're in the same boat, Ray. Everything is gravy from this point.
And to me, I think they would have been in the regular one
if Melo never got hurt.
Melo
never got hurt. I
Absolutely.
think they would be those. They're right there with the Knicks, and especially with Gordon Hayward. But that Melo one, If Melo didn't get hurt, they're succeed.
No doubt about it. No doubt. So listen, we got, as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
The matchups are, if the playoffs started today, it would be Boston and Washington, Charlotte and Indiana, Lakers and the Spurs, Golden State and Memphis.
It goes. I thought it went. The 9 and 10 play each other. The 7 and 8 play each other, and whoever
7 and 8. Oh, so my bad. So switch that up then.
It's Boston and Charlotte playing.
Sorry about that. So Boston, Charlotte, DC, Indiana, and then LA and Golden State?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
LA, Golden State, and San Antonio, Memphis. So out of those matchups, pick or talk about somebody that you think is going to be an X factor, or someone that you think is going to be a breakout star. So I'll go first. I'm going to talk about the Memphis team. And I'm going to talk about a breakout player. And I'm going to go local, Ray. I'm going to go Grayson Allen.
I like the kid.
Yeah, I think he is really coming into his own this season. And I just think he has an opportunity on a big stage. Because, one, all the focus is going to be on Ja, and all the focus is going to be on Jaren Jackson Jr. if he's healthy. Those guys are going to get the majority of the attention in terms of offense, of the defensive schemes. So that makes, that gives the opportunity for Grayson Allen to kind of slip in under the radar and really make some noise. So I think for him, this is an opportunity to really showcase himself on a national stage and get some eyes on him. And I think he's going to take advantage of it, because the kid can play. He's athletic. He can shoot the ball. He can get to the basket. He can slash. He
underrated athletic
too.
Yeah.
Now, he's been like that. He's been like that since high school, like putting between his legs.
He's a dog too.
Yeah. And and I think he kind of grew out of that whole immaturity thing that he was going through in high school and in college. So I just think that has an opportunity to have a breakout in this playing tournament. Absolutely. So, who you got, Freddie? Who you got, Freddie? X Factor or a breakout player?
I'm gonna do. He's kind of breaking out now. I'm going to breakout player, man. THT.
I knew it. I knew it.
Hey, you know, last year, people
on my list.
This past year, people, you know, said, "Hey, the Lakers are going to struggle without Rondo." You know what I'm seeing out of THT the other night? He gave us like 20 points and 10 dimes. You know, he can be that secondary point guard that the Lakers need, or second or third. You know, come in the game with LeBron's out on the bench, whatever, and
help. Kuzma decides not to show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kuzma decides to go whatever haircut he wants to, or whatever. But I think THT will be big in the play-in in the playoffs as well. And he actually helped LeBron, you know, if he's still struggling with that ankle, where LeBron can actually take possessions off and let, you know, THT run the offensive time for time.
I don't know if he's going. I don't know if he's going to put that much trust in him. He's going to have to prove himself early.
He might not have a choice, because he might, you know, they're going to.
They trust him a little bit in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to probably try to ease LeBron into the playoffs in terms of his minutes and start ramping it up. Because they really don't have much of a cushion now. You know, there's no what do we got? 2 games left?
Yeah.
We got tonight. We got tonight and tomorrow, and then the weekend it kicks it off.
Well, Sunday's the last day for games.
Okay. So, but I'm just saying, like, there's a short runway in terms of how many regular season games that they could get, you know, for him to kind of get himself into, get his feet under him, knock the rust off. Just, you know, kind of get his wind and be ready for the playoff stretch. So who you got, Ray?
Well, I'm going to go with my Hornets, and I'm going to go with LaMelo Ball. And I'm going to tell you why they're going to beat the Celtics, because Brown is out for the year
for
the Celtics. So that's huge for the Celtics right there. So they're going to have to rely on Tatum and was that Kemba Walker? They got to rely on them. I think Melo Ball is a little bit upgrade over Kemba, in my personal opinion, because he can pass the ball. He can get other teammates involved in the game. But you also got to watch out for Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges is becoming his own right now. And
that's my breakout guy.
He is a dangerous player because he can dunk on you, he can shoot the 3, he can drive on you, and you don't know, he can also post up on you. So he's like a triple threat. He's like a triple threat guy right now for the Hornets. And with Hayward out, that even gave more exposure. So I mean, to me, if he put Hayward back in this lineup, I think the Hornets could get past Boston and maybe get that next seed up a little bit of trouble. So I mean, to me, I think the Charlotte Hornets are right now in a rhythm right now. If they can get back on the rhythm like they were when Melo got hurt, before Melo got hurt, I mean, the Hornets got number ups.
And is Hayward? Is there any timetable on him coming back?
Right now, they're projecting him probably to play the last maybe 1 game before the end of the season, maybe if they can. If they can't, then it'll probably be about the second game in that play-in game, or the first game in the play-in game. Which
is tough. That's
going to be tough on him. But I mean, he can bring him off the bench. He really don't need to start, because you got a starting lineup right now is gelling in it. You can bring him off the bench and, you know, get a little bit of minutes off of him, and you don't have to play his full starting minutes.
Yeah, don't forget about Devontae Graham too. He you know, he's really stepped up you know, in that time when LaMelo went down. And I just real quick about LaMelo, I think him and Bridges have the coolest nickname in the game right now.
Airbnb.
Oh, that's so hot. I love that. I love that. And Ball has special vision. That underhand pass from 3/4 court, which is crazy.
And don't forget Bismarck. You know, he can come in and play defense. So I mean,
that's it. You can't throw the ball in offense.
No, and Terry Rozier, we can go for 40.
Oh, scary Terry, for sure, absolutely.
So if you get Rozier and Ball going at the same time, and that backcourt's in trouble, and then you got Bridges playing down in that low box area. Then you got you got your veteran, you got Curry. You know, he's not doing much, but he's doing a little bit of something here in the last couple games. I mean, he's averaging 2.5 a game, but he's a big guy. He can take up that center spot and give you that rebound that you need, an offensive rebound, kick it back out. So I mean, Charlotte's got a team. It's just if they can keep going consistently, that's the problem they have, and it's not being so much consistent.
I think you guys are kind of in the same boat as my Knicks. Is that getting that one marquee free agent if MJ could actually get somebody to take that money. And the thing about, they say, Charlotte is known as a small market team, but it's a great city.
Mhm.
Like, it's a great city to live and a great place to have your career or be on the team. So it's kind of surprising that to me that they haven't been able to lure, because you would think with MJ, he would be able to have a cachet to be able to bring a marquee free agent in, but he hasn't been able to do it so far.
Well,
Terrible.
you got to
He's
look
been a
at
terrible GM.
the Hornets. The Hornets had that period when they got, in the 80s, coming up into the 90s, that they had to break away from the city because the city wasn't going to give them, and the owner wouldn't listen to the, all the bankers. The bankers at the last second came up with the stadium idea what they built now. They came up to the stadium. George, Shan, he didn't want to hear it. He just moved the team out of there. So that really gave the city a stink on the face right there. If they would have not had that break in between, I think Charlotte would have been better in standings where they are right now. But I mean, they're getting back into that basketball role, and they're getting a lot. The city's getting back involved in getting special athletes and stuff like that. And Jordan has really progressed the Charlotte community by getting these medical centers in and helping out with the schools and rebranding some of the schools. Because in Mecklenburg County, it's one of the biggest counties in North Carolina.
Absolutely.
But they also have one of the biggest D-rated elementary schools all the way up to middle school, all the way up to high school. They got one good high school that's an A-rated, but then everybody else is down. Michael has gone into those high schools to build them back up and try to, get them back into the A or B rating. That's what the NBA, people are coming with families and stuff. That's what they're looking at right now.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
And when they're looking at the school and the community itself, Charlotte has grown tremendously outside of Mecklenburg County. And now they're starting to get more people involved. And now the Carolina Panthers, now they're talking about trying to get a professional baseball team. If they get that into that area there, then you're going to see Charlotte grow a little bit more, and you're going to see the market grow a little bit more, and you can see more players who come in and take that money from Michael and, get a better stability. But right now, we got that black eye is what happened between the 80s and 90s, and we still have not recovered from that.
Yeah. I think you make some great points. I think what Jordan is doing is kind of a slow build, and he's trying to establish a culture there. And the connecting to the community is huge, because that's going to get your fan engagement, and that's going to help you, put butts in the seat. And ultimately, when you get that, if they could ever get it back to that, that buzz when, the Larry Johnson days and the Alonzo Mourning, because that crowd used to be bananas. So if they could ever, because Ray, North Carolina, that's basketball country. So it's not a problem of, them not loving basketball. It's just a matter of getting a winner there.
It's just the owner of the first Hornets organization put a big stink face in that city.
Absolutely.
And we have now, bringing back the Bobcats. Now we got the Hornets back in, the thing. And then you got Jordan, who's a Carolina, person who played at the University of North Carolina. Now he's adapting a little bit more into the city. And now he's adding outside the city. And people give Jordan a bad credit being an owner and stuff like that. But what Jordan does, he gets into a community and he slow plays the community because he needs to fill out what they needed to be. And that's what he does. He go in it. They knew he needed new medical centers. So he put new medical centers in there. They knew they need to upgrade the elementary school, high school and stuff. That's what he's doing now. Now he's leaving the drive in the community for the homeless people. And now he's trying to get more shelters built and trying to get the homeless people off the streets in Charlotte. So he's a little bit more getting into the community, even though he doesn't live in the community, but he does stay there during some of the, NBA games and stuff like that. But he also works behind the scenes in the city and the city councils that he's trying to get the Charlotte Hornets back involved. And they have gone and helped the Panthers out. So the Panthers and the Hornets are getting that organization combined and trying to build in their fan base. So, I mean, it's a slow process. I think Charlotte's going to get back into it. But, I mean, if you look in the 80s, that's when they first announced the team, that stadium was sold out. And then the stadium started completing when George Shen decided he wanted to move the team out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
We got some breaking news from the TNT. Inside the TNT, the TNT decided to break ways with Chris Webber. So before the playoffs, so
yeah, that was rumored. I had read that.
That's not surprising. A lot of young people don't like his commentary, even though I think he's a voice that should be heard. But he's not going to go out and speak on why he should be heard. But you can't tell me 10 guys better his position and know the game like he do. But he's not going to voice his opinion on on things like that. I hope he finds a way to get
Yeah,
his
I'm
voice
sure
heard.
he's gonna, I'm sure he's gonna land on his feet. There's a bunch of
Mhm.
other networks out there.
Mhm.
And also I saw, I think he was on with Steven Jackson and Matt
All the
Barnes.
smoke.
Yeah, all
You're
smoke.
blowing up right there, bro.
Yeah. But I saw him on there. He was talking about he's doing some teaching in terms of being a professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's doing some really big things outside of basketball. So
Mhm.
this doesn't define him, and
At
Chris
all.
will land on his feet for sure. So go ahead, Chris. Who you got?
So for my breakout guy, it's a lot of things I want to talk about in the playing tournament. I'm sure we're going to discuss, real soon. But I'll go DeJounte Murray.
Mm,
I think
That's a good one.
DeJounte Murray is going to have first of all, on the defensive side, he's going to have a task in guarding John Morant, who's probably the most hyped up player in the NBA. Not taking nothing away from him, but everything he does, it's cameras flashing. Doesn't matter if it deserves a camera flash or not. So I think on the defensive side, I think he's a very good basketball player, a very good two-way guy. So if he's able to shut down or slow down John Morant, that's going to prove a lot. And also, he's the team's second leading scorer, but he's giving you about 16, 8, and 8. So if he can have a game like that, which I think he can, and I think he can, have in a playing tournament, I think DeJounte Murray is the guy that's going to break away. We know DeMar DeRozan, he's going to do his thing.
Do what he does. Yeah.
But the second, like that, the Knicks game on right now, it's been a back and forth game. But if DeJounte Murray can be that number 2 guy on offense and then the number 1 guy on defense, I think that's going to be special. So he's my breakout guy.
Yeah, I think they need him and they need Keldon Johnson to really play well. And I think I think Pop needs to really kind of take the I guess the training wheels off of Keldon Johnson. Because he really seems to kind of yank his minutes. His minutes are not consistent. Like he'll play 20 minutes one game, and then he'll play 33 minutes a game. I don't know, maybe trying to get Rudy Gay. That get that vet to make sure he gets his minutes. But I just think that kid has a chance to be really special. I just think he needs to really give him consistent minutes so he can figure it out. Because you can't really learn your game unless you're
on the court.
You can't do if you're on the court. Some things you can watch and see, but you got to get out there on the floor to be able to put it into action. So yeah, some other guys I just wrote down real quick, and so I'm gonna throw out. Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, the backcourt.
Yeah.
Are we going to still talk about the playing tournament after the breakout guys? I got something I want to add. I got something I want to add.
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll let you finish your list and I'll add it right after you.
Okay. So yeah, I had him. I had Eric Pascal, however you say his
I like
name,
him.
from Golden State.
I like him.
Yeah, slasher. He can shoot it. He can face up and score. He can get to the basket. So I think he has an opportunity. And then another guy, we've maligned this guy for a long time. We really talk bad about him. I think Andrew Wiggins has a chance to.
He needs to
finally get into, because he's never played in the playoffs.
Nope. No, one. They won once. They won once.
Oh, no. You're right. I take that back. That 1 year with Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
But, that was a first-round exit. So this may be and he's gotten, I got to give him credit. He was really streaky over his time in Minnesota. But to me, this year, he's been really consistent for the Warriors. 18, 19, 20 points a game. He's been really consistent. So I just think that he has an opportunity to really make some noise. And those are the guys. Oh, and one other guy had Evan Fournier for the Celtics. He has an opportunity now with Jaylen Brown going down to really step in there. Yeah, they have to. The only chance that they have is if he kind of steps into that role and gives them 20 plus a night.
Yeah, they definitely need to step up. My X factor, man, is on. I know I said THT, but Andre Drummond. We got to give Andre like of lately where he's giving you 20 or 10. He's definitely going to have to be a must, but we shall see.
Enough Laker talk now, real quick. Because the only thing about basketball he ever says is something about the Lakers.
We the champions.
You've never said anything about basketball other than the Lakers. But real quick, though, that is true. But everybody's going to be talking about, honestly, it's still close because the Lakers are 10 games back at 7, and the Blazers are 5 games back at 9. So who knows how the end of the season could go? But everybody wants to see the Lakers and Golden State. But I think the game that people are going to sleep on that I want to see is the Pacers and the Wizards. Because if you have watched those two teams play their past couple of nights, Russell Westbrook had a game where he had 24 assists, 21 rebounds, and only 8 shots, and he had like 18 points. And then the next game, Bradley Beal had 50. The two teams have been going back and forth. And, I think the Pacers might have an edge if you look at talent, but the backcourt, when you talk about Malcolm Brogdon and Karis LeVert versus Beal and Russell Westbrook, oh my God, it's going to be a hell of a game. And those guys are going to clash. But the thing that separates them is Sabonis. Sabonis separates them, and the talent that the Pacers have, they've decreased this year, and I think it's because Karis LeVert missed a string of games because of he had to take care of some personal health issues. But I'm glad that they found that out. Absolutely. But I think this team, if they Karis LeVert came in healthy, they would be an 8-7, 6 seed right now. But nobody, like, we talk about that one game with Golden State and Steph Curry. We're talking about one game with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Two guys that can give you 50, and one of them is going to give you 12 to 13 assists and probably 10 rebounds. So I think everybody's going to be talking about
that could be a heavyweight matchup for sure.
Everybody's going to be talking about who the Warriors is going against because they want to see Steph Curry. That is the matchup where if you watch them play all year, they've had the best game. They had 2 of the top 10 best games this season.
And, another guy that people don't talk about is Miles Turner. Like, he's really been
he's a 3-and-D center. That's crazy.
He's a 3-and-D center. He's really talented. He's a really talented guy.
Especially on that defensive end.
So he has a chance to really – he could be that X factor for them as well.
Yeah, because the Wizards they got Hachimura, who's nice, but there's literally 2 guys that carry that team.
Yeah. That's my X factor for Washington is Hachimura.
Mm-hmm. I like
they need him. He's got to be the third. To me, he's got to be the third guy in order for them to win.
15 plus.
And
Bertans too.
Yeah.
Bertans has to knock down threes.
Yeah, and this in the playoffs, what happens is and Shaq calls them the others. It's those guys. It's the role players that
one
make
or
the
two
difference.
games a series.
That's it.
One or two games a series.
Playing game is it's one and done. So that could be a game where a role player makes a difference between winning and losing.
You're right about that because I said it last year with the Lakers. If you watch them play, the role players and the bench guys won at least 1 or 2 games each series. It showed with the Rockets with the versatility of putting in, Caruso, Rondo, and Morris. It showed with the Nuggets when they used Dwight Howard to punk Jokic. And then it showed in the finals where you got to start Caruso. You saw Rondo playing a huge role. So your role players are going to win you 1 or 2 games. And you're right. With that playing tournament, whoever steps up as a role player, it's probably going to be, that big time, a big game.
Yeah, speaking of getting punked, Dwight Howard got punked tonight by Udonis.
I know, and I saw. I tweeted out. Nobody wants no smoke with UD. I saw they said UD's not going to do that in Philly. UD is going to punk Dwight Howard in any area they can find. Please put respect on the OG name. I like Dwight Howard. Don't get me wrong, but he be pump faking a lot. He's just stronger than everybody, so he found somebody that he can't bully. Like Zebo. Y'all remember Zebo said to DeMarcus Cousins, "I'm the guy that bullies bullies." That's UD, and that was the nastiest quote I ever heard. Somebody he told that man, "I'm the guy that bullies bullies." That's why I love him. Shout out to Zach Randolph, one of the most underrated players of all time.
No doubt. Couldn't jump over a phone book, but still got 20.
We'll give you 20 and 10.
There you go.
So let's switch gears and let's talk about the Jazz. We've been kind of down on them as a show.
Yep.
And now we see Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley both hobbled. So we had some questions in terms of whether or not they're gonna, they would be one of the upset victims in the first round. So does the injuries of Mitchell and Conley, does this now are you guys willing to guarantee or to say on the record that the Jazz are not getting out of the first round?
Are they both out for the entire? Oh my bad.
Well, I don't know. I'm saying the fact that they're hobbled.
Okay.
Does that pretty much seal their fate in terms of them not being able to get out of the first round? What do you think, Ray?
Well, to me, like I said, when Utah had the best record in the NBA and they were all playing, you can't rely on Utah to be the team that's going to make it out of a playoff game. I mean, they had a good run. To me, I think they peaked too early. I think that's what they did, and they got these injuries here. So, I mean, Gobert and Conley's carrying the team right now, and then you got your role players and Ainge and all them, and they're shooting and stuff like that. But I think they could be the first victim, and the number one seed could be eliminated out of the first round. I mean, I'm not really high on Utah right now, unless Mitchell Donovan Mitchell comes back. I mean, Mitchell is going to have to come back strong and play like he's been playing. But if he's slowing down and hobble with injuries, Utah is very vulnerable to teams.
What you think, Freddie?
Utah's a very deep team, you know. You have Rudy Gobert as your defensive anchor. You have Jordan Clarkson, you know, who's going to be sixth man of the year and give you a bucket any time. Then you have Donovan Mitchell. If he can come back like he did in the bubble, where he's giving you 50 a night, where Mike Conley can do his things, it'll be tough. But it really depends on the matchup, who they're playing the first round. If they're playing a Golden State Warrior team, I can still see them beating them, even with Donovan Mitchell hobbled a little bit. And if they're playing a Laker team, it can go tough. So I mean, it just really depends on who they're playing in the first round, honestly. But I don't think it'll be easy though, because that team is deep.
Yeah, I'm saying that they're out. I'm saying that they're not getting out of the first round because in the playoffs, again, you know, the game slows down. And the problem with Utah is that their best players are on the perimeter. They really don't have anybody that they could throw the ball to in the post. All Gobert does is catch lobs. And then, you know, when the game slows down, at some point, sometimes you got to just try to get an easy bucket. And sometimes the easiest bucket is just dropping it down to somebody in the post and seeing if they can make something happen. So I think that's what happens with them. And even, you know, Donovan Mitchell had to go nut. He had to get 30 a night in the playoffs for them to, and they just barely, you know what I'm saying, that first round, they barely slid by. So I just think that at the end of the day, I think these injuries is just going to seal their fate. And I think they're just going to, to me, they're like the Atlanta Hawks a few years ago in the East, where they had that run where they were getting, you know, those top seeds. And I think one year,
they weren't doing it.
Exactly, but you never had any belief that they were going to come out of the East. You always knew that LeBron and the Cavs eventually was going to knock them off. And I just think this is the same thing with Utah. I just think it's going to happen in the first round as opposed to later on in the playoffs. What do you think, Chris?
As long as they don't play Portland or the Lakers, they'll be fine. I talk bad about the Jazz the entire year, but there's one guy who I was waiting to blossom because he was injured last year in the playoffs, Bogdanovic. That people don't know if Bogdanovic plays in that playoff, they're beating the Nuggets in 5. That's a fact. And Bogdanovic has been playing great since the injuries of Mike Conley, since the injuries of Mitchell. He just, you know, gave the Nuggets 48 in a victory like that. You were right in saying that sometimes you need to slow it down and get easy bucket. I think he can be that guy that can slash and go to the basket and get that bucket for you. I think if even with Mitchell and Conley hobbling, because I don't see them missing the entire first round. Maybe a game or two, or maybe not at 100%. But I believe that they have enough talent to get past a Memphis or a Spurs or, you know, a Dallas or Golden State in the first round, because Dallas has to play great for 4 games straight. You know, Golden State has to play great for 4 games straight. Not just Curry, not just Luka, but that the entire team. And one thing about the Jazz, I give them credit. They're coached great. You can't tell me 5 teams that's coached better than the Utah Jazz. They know what they want. They know what they want to do to win games, and they do it to perfection. And so, yes, you know, last year they lost in the first round. I believe it's because of Bogdanovic. Years prior, you know, the teams that they lost to in the playoffs were championship level teams. I'm not saying they're winning the West, but to get out the first round, I definitely think they can get out, as long as they're not playing the Portland Trailblazers or the Lakers. Any other team, I can see them being.
But I don't think they'll be hurt because, I mean, Donovan been out for a while, and then he's going to be out all next week as well for another rest. So, He might be pretty arrested, because I think
I'm not
he's
high
healthy.
on Donovan Mitchell anyway, to be honest. In the
You're
playoffs,
not?
he does this thing. He's a volume scorer for me. He needs to be more of
I
an
think
efficient
that's
scorer.
more out of necessity. I think that's
No,
more
you're
out of
right on that.
necessity,
There's
yeah.
more out than a necessity, and that's why I need Bogdanovich and Jordan Clarkson to be consistent. But a lot of games I watch him play, especially when he played my Sixers, 34 points, 36 shots. I think he is, and you're right, it's out of necessity because in the playoffs he does, like especially last year, he did turn it up. In the playoffs, he does.
Big time.
He does turn it up in the playoffs. So a lot of shots, a lot of points. That happens in the playoffs. But if he's able to be more efficient and he's able to attack, the basket more, I think that's going to be okay if he's 100%. Because if he's not 100%, then him not going to the basket, him shooting jumpers all game, he's going to shoot about 40% from the field. I'm cool with that. Gobert though. Gobert, for me, is a little overrated. He has to be he cannot have no question marks when it comes to finishing in the basket. If they dump it to you or you get an offensive putback, you need to be making it 90% of the time. No 50, no 60, no 90% of the time. If you get the ball and they pass it to you, it needs to be a dunk. No layups because you're trash. No layups. All dunks and you put the ball in the basket.
I like what bothers me about Gobert is
him and Clint Capella the same player.
Like, I don't understand. Like, the jump hook is the easiest shot in the world. Like,
I'm 6'2",
I don't understand.
I do the jump hook a lot.
The easy.
It's so easy.
I teach the jump hook to kids.
A jump hook and a drop step.
The two easiest moves that you can make.
And then parlay it to up and under. Three
That's
easy
it.
moves.
It's three.
Jump
That's
hook,
it.
Drop step, up and under.
That's it.
6'2", that was my bread and butter. I go against guys that's 6'6", 6'7". They couldn't stop it.
You dead on, man. And I just don't understand for the life of me. You got Capella, you got DeAndre Jordan, Tyson Chandler.
It don't make no sense. You're in the league this long and you don't practice.
You don't have no semblance. Dwight Howard, another one. You've been in the league all these years and you still don't have any semblance of a post game. And I just don't understand it.
And it's not hard to learn either.
It's not
hard to learn. Howard, because of all the teams that have had great big men.
I said all the time. Dwight Howard didn't want to be great because Shaq in Orlando. Then go to the Lakers. You got Shaq and Kareem. Then go to Houston. You go to Houston, and he didn't. And it didn't even show he was working with the team. Then you had Kevin McHale as your coach. He didn't want to be great because he had all the. He said, "I want more touches."
All the resources.
And you had all the best post players ever, and did not improve.
No. So, all right. So, our last topic before we get to the rankings. We like to talk about coaches on this show, and we always talk about, the African American coaches and, in terms of opportunities and things of that nature. So, in the off season, we know there's always a coaching carousel. There's always, there's always openings in terms of teams that wind up making changes at the end of the season. So who's the African-American coach that you want to see get a job this off season? I'm going to start with you, Freddie.
I'm going to Earl Watson. You're talking about a young coach who was with Phoenix Suns, with Devin Booker.
He dealt a terrible hand in Phoenix, by the way. Listen,
Absolutely.
If y'all listen to that story, they told a terrible hand, man. Terrible hand.
Yeah, you're talking about a young coach, Everybody want to say the same thing about Luke Walton, the player coach. Why can't Earl Watson get the same opportunities? Young, he needs to be with a young team that he can relate with the players. I think he can put it in a good system. I think he can be better than Luke Walton, even though I'm high on Luke Walton. I think he is better.
A bum.
I would actually like to see.
Yeah, honestly, I thought Sacramento was going to be a little better. Although I'm a little mad at De'Aaron Fox because I've never seen somebody in the COVID protocols for this long. This guy been in the protocols for like 3 weeks, and he's killed my fantasy roster. But that's another subject.
I actually wish the Pelicans could get Earl Watson to bring him in there because with that young team, even though I know they can get rid of Stan Van Gundy. But I think he would fit better in that system because I think the Pelicans players turned on Stan this year, man. I think Stan came in there maybe with that old mindset, old mentality with a young team and just could not relate to a lot of those young players. But I think Earl Watson could relate to a Brandon Ingram, a Lonzo Ball, and trying to
Zion Williamson.
Absolutely.
He's going to put them in
Zion off the point.
He's going to put them in position to succeed because he understands the new age of basketball and the unorthodox side.
And he played the point guard position, who was a coach on the
Mhm.
floor. So, yeah, no, I love that one. That's a great one. Who you got, Chris?
Y'all see this right here?
No,
man,
hold me back.
But yeah, I like that one of Earl Watson. He was one. What's up, yo? He was one that I had, but I got David Fisdale. He's a guy that he we only get
got a raw deal too.
We only get the worst opportunities, and we're told to make lemonade from trash. We're told to make lemonade from trash,
Right.
and we only get those opportunities. I think he deserves another one. But I love that he's an assistant on my team. But I feel like this guy deserves a head coaching job very soon, and that's Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell is the point guard guru. Look at the list of point guards he had and how they turned up, from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, from John Wall to Eric Bledsoe, to all these guys that been influenced. It was in this era where Sam Cassell was the guy. You could see their game take a next level and the whole team take a next level. He's been under Doc for a while now. He was in the league and had a great, successful NBA career at the point guard position. You like a lot of point guards, they retire and they get hired just like that because they're so smart. From the kids to the Steve Nashes. I know a lot of people got upset at that Steve Nash hire, but you can't tell me 5-6 guys that understood and facilitated offense better than him. So it's like when I look at a guy like Sam Cassell, he did it throughout his playing career. Then he has the resume as a coach and a successful resume as a coach. I love him for the Sixers. And if he wants to stay, please go ahead and stay. But if somebody offers this guy a head coaching job, I thought he was going to get the Houston job. I'm glad that Silas got it, but I thought that should have been Sam Cassell's. So if somebody offers this dude a job, I want him to take it.
Especially as a former player.
Especially, I thought that should have been a done deal. But I think Sam Cassell deserves a job, and David Fisdale as well, because he takes on all the same thing with JB Bickerstaff from what he's doing with the Cavs.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
They're taking the jobs that nobody wants, and they're trying to succeed with bad hands being dealt. And real quick, just to talk about Earl Watson. He's another guy I want to see in the league because he understands the new age of basketball, and he understands that players they shouldn't be put in a box. Back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, players will be put in a box and told to do one to two things. You can't put a Brandon Ingram in a box. You can't put a Zion in a box. Lonzo Ball, he's more of a, like a Darren Williams guy where he can be in a system and flourish in that system, but he has skill-wise that you don't have to always put him in a box. Earl Watson knows how to take players out of the box. And with the Suns, I mean, they told him to play guys, then they're trading guys. They benched a whole bunch of guys that should have been playing. They told him, this team needs to take 35 threes when they had no three-point shooters. We all know how bad the Suns organization was. And if you listen to Earl Watson this time there, they put him in a terrible position. So, he was a guy I had on my list. But those three guys, they have the IQ and they have the resume to be head coaches, and they deserve it.
Absolutely. Who you got, Ray?
Well, I'm going to go off the wall here. And nobody has said anything, but I don't know if he wants to be a coach or not, but Kenny Smith.
I would like that.
I think
Kenny
he wants
Smith.
to be more of a front office guy, but I like it.
Me too. I think front office as well.
Yeah, he wants to be a front office guy, but have you ever watched this guy sit down, get taken? I talked to him personally when he played at the University of North Carolina. He broke down Dean Smith's system, and then he added a little bit more flair to the system. He can do that.
IQ is second to none.
He can do that with the NBA. Have you ever seen him? He did coach one time in a travel AAU team in New York.
Aim high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then
absolutely.
So,
that program is going on in LA now.
Yeah, that guy he has an IQ. He can draw up plays. He can take these NBA plays, and if you ever watch him analyze the games
Absolutely.
on TNT, he's breaking everything down from the post guy. From a post guard to a point guard to a shooting guard to how they move, how they block, how they go and set picks, and what they need to do off the picks and what they've done wrong. So, I mean, Kenny Smith could be a great coach at any level, NBA, college. I mean, but like I said, he's got a mindset that he wants to be a front office person first. Maybe he'll eventually get into coaching, but right now, Kenny Smith he's got an IQ out of nowhere.
It's second to none. He's been basketball royalty. And he learned and soaked up all that game. Respect to him.
Absolutely. Between, growing up in the Mecca of basketball of New York, well, it used to be the Mecca of basketball, but that's another subject. And then going to North Carolina, and then, all the work that he's been doing. And again, as a point guard, you're the coach on the court. Like you have to know what everybody's job is. You have to know where everybody's supposed to be on the floor. So as a result, you know what everybody should be and shouldn't be doing. So that's why he's able to break down the game so well, and that's why your greatest coaches are good. Your best coaches, for the most points, have been point guards. So mine is, and he's been talked about ad nauseum. You guys talked about Sam Cassell, but the other one to me is Mark Jackson. Like he's way overdue for another.
They blackball him so bad, man.
Yeah, I just think now. And honestly, it's been enough years now to where we should not still be talking about this. This should be water under the bridge. Everybody deserves a second chance, and I'm sure he's learned from that situation, and I'm sure he would do some things differently if he had the opportunity, or he may not. He might have said some things differently. He might not have done some things differently, but he might have said some things differently. So you live and you learn. So I just think that another guy that is second to none when it comes to breaking down the game and
he has the resume.
And has the resume and just sees the court and sees the game just from just on a high level and can break down the game on a high level. So I want to see him get an opportunity. I'm with you, Chris. Sam Cassell. He's been that second guy in command. He's been Doc Rivers' right hand man for a long time. And as well, like you said, he was in Washington. And I just hope that he doesn't. To me, like he's getting into that Patrick Ewing area where the window is starting to close, and I just hope that that's not the case because he really deserves an opportunity to be a head coach.
He's still relatively young, though. In a sense.
No, he is, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, 51 is kind of older, but
yeah, he's getting into that. He's probably 10 plus years in terms of being an assistant coach.
Yeah, he is.
So that's why I said, they start to worry about him getting, that career assistant, title.
I'm gonna tell you a coach that I think needs the opportunity to come in, and I know he's coaching on the side for a defense, not a head coach, but as a defensive minded coach, and that's Metta World Peace. I think he can definitely bring some stuff in on the defensive side. Because
I think he should be. I think he needs to start as an assistant coach.
Yeah,
because we got to wait and see whether or not he has a temperament. We know, seriously, that you have the temperament to be able to, be that.
His mind should be in basketball.
Oh no, he has great
former players. Former player, I don't like. If I was a coach, I'm hiring so many former players that was dominant in a specific, like a defensive guy or a guy that was a great shooter. I'm having former players like when they brought in Amar'e Stoudemire. You should have minds
coordinator type.
You should have minds like that in the NBA. Sure. But real quick, I got three guys that I think should be and could be head coaches very soon. I think Juwan Howard, when he wants to leave Michigan on his own terms, he would definitely be a successful NBA coach.
Absolutely.
But I honestly think he's going to stay there until he wins a national championship. I think that's going to be his goal. Yeah, at least one or two.
Yeah, I think that was his dream job. You saw him get emotional,
and I'm glad he got it.
Yeah. So just on a personal note, I had an opportunity because when Rob played for the Wizards, I used to go down to games all the time, and Juwan Howard is probably one of the classiest, one of the nicest guys.
All the stories you hear about him are the best.
It's the truth.
All the stories.
There was in the I don't know if it's what it's called now, but at the time it was the MCI Center. But they have like a family room where the families, you sit there and wait for the guys to come out after the game. Juwan, every time we were there, he made a point to come into the family room and say hello to us. His family wasn't even in there at the time. He was just coming in just to say hello to everybody. So he's just a great guy, just a great overall guy. So I that would be a great look. But I'm with you. I think he's going to stay there, especially now. What was that, the Elite Eight that they got to?
Oh yeah, he's staying there he's going to stay there for at least another 5 to 6 years.
But I think he's definitely on the radar. Because he interviewed before he got the Michigan job. I want to say that he interviewed for that Houston.
I'm going to be surprised because he was an assistant with Miami so long.
Yeah.
He was assistant with Miami so long.
He definitely interviewed for a head coaching opportunity before that. So, yeah, that's a lot of guys. Okay, what was the other ones?
Andre Miller.
Oh, man.
I think he's going to be in a coaching, rank soon, and maybe not dive right into the head coach. Then another guy who is funny, but when you talk about basketball IQs and a mind for the game and what he did in the pros, and how smart he is. Gilbert Arenas. You know, you talk about him and how Kobe told him, your mind is too special not to be in basketball, to be coaching on some level. Now he's coaching, you know, his son right now on the AAU level. I think
too.
And his son is really, really good.
Yeah.
I think he might parlay that into picking up an assistant job, because when it comes about mind of basketball, it's not. Then I keep saying this because and there's no disrespect to guys in that era, but there's a lot of guys that are stuck in that era and think basketball. They think, oh, basketball has to be this way, but they don't care what you think because it's going to keep evolving. He understands that, and he keeps pushing that narrative. And I think that's going to be something where they're going to want more head coaches like that in this new era. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, 6-7 years down the line, we're hearing Gilbert Arenas' name as a coach in some capacity.
Well, honestly, you know, I think that's part of the requirements to be a coach in today's NBA. You have to embrace the analytics, because the analytics are not going anywhere. You have to,
and the new systems as well.
And you got to embrace positionless basketball. You have to embrace this 5-out offense, because that's the wave. Like, you have to, you know,
have to adapt.
Having said all of that, you have to, you know, look at the trends, but you also got to put your own stamp on it too. Because to me, you know, I love the I love the, you know, the offense, and I love, you know, how skilled guys are. But I think there needs to be a return to the post game. Like, we really need to get
it's
back
not being taught with these young guys, though. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's facing up.
them.
Everybody's, you know, shooting a 3-ball. You know, Brook Lopez went from being a low post center to
a dominant
being
low post summer.
Yeah, to being a 3-point shooter. Like, because he had to adapt to today's game. So I just think there needs to be, you know, that we need
the
to
little
get back
Okafor is a guy that career went away because
that's what I'm saying. Like, they pretty much phased this guy out of the league because they didn't want to utilize his skill set. And I think that's really the problem. You know, that's one of the problems in today, you know, in terms of the coaching in today's game, is that sometimes we get a little too
three happy.
Yeah, a little too three happy and a little too analytic driven.
All that.
You know, where it's 3 points and layups. But there's got to be some post ups and to be able, because think about it, man. You drop it down in the post and you get a double team, that automatically is getting somebody an open look. So if you've got somebody that could command a double team in the post, look at Joel Embiid.
You drop it down to Joel Embiid twice and let Bam get 2 quick fouls. I don't understand why they do that tonight. They don't think about that.
It's just, you know, it's just an easy way to play basketball. So I just think we need to get back to that. All right, so let's get ready to get up out of here. But before we do, we got to do this rank 'em. And we got a tough one tonight, boy. We got a tough one tonight. We're going to the 2 guards, Ray. And we're going to the 2 guards in the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. We got Mitch Rock Richmond. We got Joe Dumars. And we got Steve Smith. Rank them.
Freddie going first. Putting it out there. Freddie going first.
Like, want me to go first?
I'm putting it out there. Freddie got to go first.
All right,
Freddie, go. Yeah, go.
All right, I got I got Steve Smith going number 1.
Wow. Okay.
Joe Dumars number 2. Then I got Mitch number 3.
What's your reasoning?
I need to hear some evidence. Yeah, why? I need to hear why you got these guys the way they are.
Number 1.
Man, it was kind of hard for me. Like, Steve Smith, you know, was a cold killer. You know, he was overall probably a shooter. I
was agreeing with you. He was a beast.
Yeah, he's probably one of the best shooters out of all of them. Man, this kind of Joe Dumars, what he was able to do back in the day was kind of crazy. I mean, you know, he played. That's hard. He played for the Knicks. What he was able to do with the Knicks.
You mean the Pistons? You mean the Pistons?
Yeah, my bad. The Bad Boy Pistons. I'm sorry, with Isaiah and them.
There you go.
You know, helping Isaiah, he averaged about.
We almost put you on dark for that statement.
Hey, my bad. Hey,
that's all right.
Even though he only averaged about 11 points and 1 rebound, but he's still a shooter, helping Isaiah out. So that's why I kind of go with him first. That's why I went Mitch, because Mitch, man, was pretty tough. It's
not easy. So I put this one together.
When he was going with the Kings team, you know, with the Kings and with the Wizards, you know, he gave me about 16 a night with the Wizards. So he
fell off when he got to the Wizards. Him and Ron got together when they were kind of both on their later, they kind of on the back half of their years. So if they would have got together in their prime, I would have loved to see him. Man, if Ron and him
That
played
would have been
together,
nasty.
oh my
That'd have been a
gosh,
nasty
that would
backcourt.
have been some backcourt. But so I'll go. I'm gonna go. I'm going with The Rock. I gotta go Mitch Richmond, number one, because he doesn't get his just due. Like, this dude was giving you 25 a night in Sacramento, plus playing D and being the only option on a sorry team. Like, you don't understand the offensive load that you have to carry as that type of guy. Go ahead, Chris.
Now I was going to say, I wish Mitch could have stayed there for that Chris Webber transition. I would have loved to see him on that team. Even if he's the 6-man guy off the bench, with that Sacramento team add another weapon in Mitch Richmond? Because he left before Chris Webber got there. That was that trade. Yeah, that was that trade. I wish that didn't happen.
That would have been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been crazy. But yeah, I got Mitch number one. And then I got Joe Dumars number two. Joe Dumars, another guy that didn't really get his just due. Like, literally, he was the second guy. This was the Finals MVP the year that they knocked off the Blazers. So you got to really give him credit. And at the end of the day, this was the guy that was guarding Jordan. Like, he was the main defender against Michael Jordan, and he gave Jordan, and he was giving up 4 inches because Joe Dumars was only 6'2". Mm-hmm. So he was giving up 4 inches and probably 20 pounds. And he gave, Jordan all type of fits. So I just think that he was just that quiet assassin. And the fact that out of these 3 guys, he's the only guy with a champ. Well, Smitty won 1 championship, but he's kind of long for he's kind of long for the ride for that one. But but Joe Dumars was a big factor. You could easily say he was the second most important player on that team, on those Bad Boy Pistons team. Mm-hmm. So I got him number 2, and then I love my guy Smitty, but I got him number 3. Probably one of the coldest moves and the smoothest moves of all time.
Everybody uses it and don't know where it comes from.
Still to this day, people are still using that move. And I think that he's just going to – I just think, and he played the point. He started out as a point guard and moved over to shooting guard.
That positionless basketball.
Yeah, in today's NBA, man, he would be a post-up. He would be that post-up guard and the guy that you could throw it to in a post and just wreak havoc. And just his shooting prowess, but I got him number 3. So I got Mitch number 1. I got Joe Du number 2, and then I got Smitty number 3. All right, who's next?
I'll go next. For my number 1, I got Joe Dumars. I mean, y'all know how much I love guys that 2-way guys, 5-time All-NBA defense. Like you said, he's the guy shutting down the opposing team's best guard. He's the guy that's sticking Jordan. Whoever that main ball handler is, he's on him. Also, he can get buckets. He didn't put up the same amount of shots as everybody else, but he was efficient in it. When it was time for him to show up, he showed out. And that backcourt, that Bad Boys team is a backcourt that nobody wants to see to this day, because they will punk you and they will be better basketball players than you. I'm talking about that. You want to put them in the park, they'll beat you. You want to be off fundamentals, they beat you. They were a sound team, and it started with the 2 guards. And on defense, it started with Joe Dumars. So he's my number 1. My number 2, I got Mitch. Mitch was a bucket. And if you're not a 2-way guy, Mitch played defense. But if you say Mitch Richmond, he's known for getting buckets. And, he got those buckets. And he can knock it down from the 3-ball at a high clip. So, he's my number 2. He was a beast. Another underrated 2-guard in the era where, 2 guards were dominant. He doesn't get enough credit, for what he did in the game, for how good he was in the game. He got a chip in the back end of his career with the Lakers, but, he's a Hall of Famer regardless. This dude was a beast. He was a bucket getter. Number 3 was Steve Smith. He's a guy that, if he was playing in this era, and a lot of people say that about guys from the 80s and 90s, but they just still be average guys. But he's a guy that could play point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward. Everybody wants to go so small. He's a guy that
he'd have been a stretch four for
he,
sure.
he could get buckets, he get everybody involved, and he can knock down the 3-ball. This dude was cold, and he talked trash. I almost want to put him number 2 just because he talked trash. They all talk trash, but he was
not Joe D.
Joe D didn't. He talked. Well, you got to listen. I watched Open Court, and he didn't talk trash like Steve Smith, but he do things that you wouldn't catch. That was trash talking. But Steve Smith was subtle stuff. He talked trash to your face on the camera and then back it up in the game. So I gotta respect him. And it's not like he's number 3. He's the worst. It was just a tough 2 guys to put ahead of him. But that's my 1, 2, 3.
All right, Ray, close us out.
Well, I got Mitch Richmond number 1, and the reason I got Mitch Richmond number 1 was that's when I first started watching NBA basketball. Was Mitch Richmond? He got me to watch NBA basketball because somehow I stayed up late at night in North Carolina past midnight. My dad came and called me watching the game. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm watching this guy play." And he looked at the TV and sat down beside me and started watching Mitch Richmond play. And what the thing about Mitch Richmond was, my favorite rap group was Run DMC. He had Run TMC.
Run TMC, yes, sir.
He was he was the key of Don Nelson's fast-paced offense.
Absolutely.
And that's what got me to watch NBA basketball. And from then on, I watched NBA basketball. And then when James Worthy and all them started coming into the NBA, that too fluctuated with Mitch Richmond's game and stuff. And then, Jordan in 84 and all that. But then Joe Dumars, I had to go with number 2 because I always hated when Jordan had to play the Detroit Pistons because Dumars, Jordan gives you a key. When you play defense against Jordan, you don't want to talk smack to him. You don't want to get him fired up. And Joe Dumars never did that.
Right.
The only person on the Pistons team that really got Jordan fired up was Lambeer and Isaiah Thomas. When Dumars was on him, Dumars did not say a word. And that's what got Jordan off his game because he had no – when Jordan played, he had to have that fire. And if you're talking junk to him, and if you watch Joe Dumars, he never, ever looked at Jordan when he went to the bench. He never said a word. He just played his defense. Jordan couldn't do anything because that's how Joe Dumars was getting in his head. And then Steve Smith, you say nothing bad about Steve Smith. He could be either 1, 2, or 3. Steve Smith was a guy. He was just the person with the Hawks and, when he played college ball, I seen him play. He's just a great guy. He's just an all-around guy. He did his business. He didn't go about doing any, he's high flying, talking junk and stuff like that. He went in his business. He showed up and played games, and that's it. And that's what I like about Steve Smith. Steve Smith was a quiet kind of guy, and he just had an NBA game, from that 3-point line. He had a game made for the NBA. Jordan had that game. Everybody's saying why Dean Smith was keeping them 20, but Jordan was not set up for college. Jordan was set up for the NBA game.
Absolutely.
That was Jordan's game, and Joe Dumars took that away when he got on the court, and I just hated it when he played that Detroit Pistons. And the only way they got past the Detroit Pistons is he had to go hire a trainer to get him stronger because he had to go punish Dumars, and that's the only way he got past Dumars because he got stronger than Dumars. So, I mean, if you look at that way, if Isaiah Nova said any word to Jordan, Dumars would have handled Jordan for a long time. But when Isaiah started getting Jordan's ear, that's when he got stronger, and that's when he overpowered Dumars, and that's when Chicago took it over to Detroit.
Yeah, and shout out to Steve Smith. He got probably my favorite segment on NBA Game Time. His top 5 under the rim. That's like
it's amazing. And Kyrie used to be on there all the time.
That's my favorite.
He was Kyrie.
Great personality. So shout out to him. All right, so that's it for this episode of Real Talk. Always fun talking about NBA, NFL with my guys. And so we'll be back on Monday. We're here every Monday and Thursday. So tap in with us, tune in with us, and make sure you send in if you got a question that you want us to answer on the show. Just record it with your phone, video record it, and send it to us, and we'll play it on the show and we'll answer it. Just make sure it's not a dumb question, because if it's dumb, we're gonna clown it.
Not a Freddie question.
Yeah, exactly. Try not to. Try not to do anything to embarrass yourself like Freddie did tonight, calling, Joe Dumars
The Nick.
the
My
Nick.
God. He say he
So,
played for the New York Knicks, man.
Yeah,
Oh
he's gonna have to submit a urine test,
my
on tomorrow because we got some questions.
Jen said he averaged 11 points. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But
We're gonna chalk it up to he got tired.
If he ain't talking about the Lakers, Freddie's
Yeah.
He don't know what he's
Exactly,
talking about. He don't know if he ain't talking about the Lakers. He don't know what he's talking about. Even with the Lakers, he don't know what he's talking about sometimes.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back on.
Last remarks?
Oh yeah, my bad. Go ahead. What
Hey,
you got
man,
to say
me personally,
about something besides?
Don't say nothing about. If you gotta say nothing about the Lakers.
If you're gonna say something about the Lakers, you're not allowed to talk.
it's not about the Lakers.
All right.
I'm excited for this Saturday. It's the Hall of Fame speech, and I'm ready to see Michael Jordan. I'm ready to see Kobe's wife. I'm ready to see the speech. I'm ready to see KG. I'm just ready for the whole thing. I'll be tuned into that, so I'm recording it. I'm just ready for it, me personally.
All right. Anybody else got any closing remarks?
Yeah, I got one more to say.
Sure.
Watch about Hubert Davis out of North Carolina, new head basketball coach in North Carolina. Everybody got him a rap because he hasn't coached a while, but he has coaching in the JV team that Carolina has. Carolina's the only college that has
for a long time.
Yeah, and Carolina is the only team that has a JV team, and that assistant coach at Carolina goes and coaches the JV team to learn how to be a coach and stuff like that. That's how Roy Williams got his start, and now that's how Hubert Davis got his start. But don't sleep eye on North Carolina. But Hubert Davis is one of those North Carolina guys, and he's going to be a great head coach.
Absolutely. Chris, you got anything?
Hawks and the Knicks, they play in the first round.
Let's go.
I might have to put money on them Hawks.
Watch, see. We was good right then until you said that. I just want to say, as a long-time suffering Knicks fan, this has been the most pleasant surprise. The Knicks have clinched a playoff spot. We actually back in the playoffs for the first time, which is, I think, in 2007, I think it was the last time we made the playoffs. So just as a Knicks fan, it's just a happy day.
Oh, you counting out the Melo years?
Was that 2008?
Melo was like 2013,
Was that when we made the last second round of the play? It's been so long, man. It
feels like a long time.
Oh my god!
Because y'all was so bad.
There's been so many bum squads, man. The Ronaldo,
Giannis,
Eddie Curry. There's been a lot of bums, man. Getting Penny Hardaway on his last legs. Steve Francis when he was on his last legs. Running Steph Marbury out of town, a hometown kid. Isaiah Thomas touching VP's butts and harass, sexual harassing. Throwing Charles Oakley out the garden. Like, it's just been, a clown show, man. So just as a Knicks fan, it's just good to be back. And like I said, do not let us win this first round. Unfortunately, if it stays the way it is, then we won't see. If we make the second round, we'll play against the Phillies. So we might have to, we might have to be a jersey, or somebody have to we might have to do a jersey bet on that series. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, we out. It's time for us to roll up out of here. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll be back on Monday. Peace.